Welcome back to the Hoops Tumble podcast. Y'all know me, Nathan Schwartz. Joining me in Sacramento, Aaron Schroeder. How's it going, Aaron?
It's going good. Good to be here. Good to see you.
We are back to re-rank our point guards. We're working 1 through 75, just kind of reworking some of the things we feel we've gotten wrong or wanted to maybe make some updates to. Got some modern guys who have taken some big leaps. Aaron, where do you want to start?
I think we should place the modern guys first, so then we could go in
Okay.
and section it off and say this 10, that 10, without not knowing who's a part of what group.
Okay. Well, then starting things off with the highest rated modern guy. Did Steph Curry move up from number 2 to number 1 based on his performance this last season for you?
No, I'd say it was a fairly disappointing Steph season. The Warriors did not make the playoffs. Steph really hot start was just just kind of usual Steph towards the end. Nothing spectacular. I think he's good as the second best point guard of all time.
Fair enough. Any changes with Chris Paul?
No. I mean, Chris Paul is nearing the end for sure. We had him as the 5th best point guard. Nothing, only perspective changes could make him go higher, but nothing that he did this season is gonna bump him up there.
Fair enough. Where do you want to start then? Why don't you give me a guide?
Well, when I had said modern players, I guess what I meant was the unranked modern players. We can get that situated and then move into the next deal.
Fair enough. So when we completed our top 175, we had not ranked guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Brunson, Jamal Murray, Trae Young, or Ja Morant. I'm going to guess the highest of those guys is going to be Mr. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Where do you want to slot him into our point guards?
35? Maybe higher? Can we start at 35 and work our way up?
So
It
currently
should
at
be higher than
35.
that, honestly. It should be higher than that.
In the 35 range, we've got Darren Williams and Baron Davis. I feel like what Shea has put out this year is higher than both of those gentlemen.
Yeah, no, you're right. As soon as I said it, I was like, no, shouldn't have said that. Honestly, 25?
So I do
20?
have a little bit of a sticking point. Is we have Derrick Rose at 27, and I think that's about as high as I can get him right now off of that, off of this one really good year is just behind Rose.
I have Rose at 26. Do you have Rose at 27?
Oh, I'm sorry. I made other adjustments since here that I
Gotcha.
was looking at my adjusted list. So yeah, right behind Rose at 26.
I think that's right. How do you feel about that? Do you want to have him above Rose?
No, I don't think we can quite get above Rose just yet, but I think right behind Rose, because really what we're talking about with Derrick Rose is like, a couple good seasons cresting up to that MVP year, and then a lot of role player stuff. Rose actually has managed to carve out decent longevity after that tail off, but it's like the peak star MVP level, and then like role player stuff. And Shea at this point has not quite hit the MVP. If they made the Western Conference Finals, I may be tempted to take him over Rose. But just as of yet, I don't think I've seen quite enough from Shea to get him over that youngest MVP of all time.
I think it's very close because you look at with SGA, you have a second place MVP finish and then a top 5 finish last season, 2 back-to-back first team All NBAs, almost certainly. Although the All NBA teams haven't been announced quite yet. I think that's the right spot. Maybe we come back again and say, hey, we can bump him over Rose, but I think 27 is right. He's been really incredible. I'll take SGA off my guys to rank list. The next guy to rank, certainly Jalen Brunson, right? just
Yeah,
dragged the Knicks in the postseason. Probably second team, maybe first team All NBA, depending how things go. Top 5 MVP finish, and he had an amazing season.
I, I would be very tempted to take him just after Shea. That would put him above guys like Gus Williams, Mark Price, JoJo White. I don't feel like any of those guys ever quite led a team as well as what we just saw from Jalen Brunson did doing it in the playoffs.
I
Maybe
think you're
Gus
spot on
Williams.
there. Not even.
I mean, Gus has an argument for that Finals MVP. The Sonics won, and what was it,
Yeah.
78, 79? And so that just might be my one caveat because Gus also has like 5 really high seasons of play, and then we would have a little bit of separation between Brunson and Shea, which feels right in my mind.
That's interesting. It's interesting. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Well, let's swap
Okay.
those two.
Okay. So
So SGA looks good. Okay. Brunson off the list of guys to rank. Jamal Murray.
Jamal Murray. Let me see here.
Fantastic first round. Tough second round, but great against the Lakers yet again.
So I want to say this. We had Trae Young at 43. Because of the leapfrogging now of Shea and of Brunson
Mm-hmm.
over what Trae has done and over what Trae
Yes.
has been. Trae is now down at 45. I don't think I can get Murray over where we have Trae Young.
I think that's fair. Looking at the names in between the two, Kemba Walker, Fat Lever, Terry Porter, Mo Cheeks, Gene Shue, then we did Sam Cassell, then Morant, then Murray. So we had kind of like loosely placed them in the early 50s.
Mm-hmm.
How high do you want to go there? I could feel comfortable with Mo Cheeks as someone that I want to move up. So
Okay.
that's something to consider. Um, Not by a ton, but by a little bit. Um, I think Porter and Murray are at least comparable. Where are you at with
So
that?
so I had done some re-ranking here. And I re-ranked them Murray, Porter, Cheeks, 50, 51, and 52.
Okay. I have Porter at 48.
Yes.
You moved.
There's
Okay. So
I,
what's the
I
shuffling?
have the old list and then I have my like new
Hmm.
list. And there's a lot of shuffling in between. Um,
Okay.
but one of the other shuffles that I have is I moved up John Morant from 51 to 46. So that way him and Trae Young are neck and neck.
Okay. Let's do that.
Do you would you put Ja over Trae in an all-time perspective? I know it's hard because like
Yeah, I
neither
would.
of them really did much, but like this last year was not a good year for either one of them particularly. But
Hmm.
I think what we saw from 2 years ago from Trey or from Ja was really impressive. And so I'm content to let them be 45, 46 and let them see what next year looks like. But is
Yeah,
there
let's
one
do
you want
that.
over the other?
I think Trey should
All
be
right.
above Ja, and then we'll go. So Young, Morant,
Kemba. And
Kemba.
then I snuck in De'Aaron Fox right here.
Wow. All right.
How do you feel? Because
That's fucking great.
this
Yeah,
may be
I'm
too
not
high
gonna
for
say it. I'm not
Fox.
gonna say anything. Yeah, it's way too high. I'm not gonna say a thing. Um, not gonna say a goddamn thing. De'Aaron Fox. Um,
Well, when we start talking peak
yeah,
performance, like
no, he was incredible. He was incredible last season, and he was really really great. Um, so we have Trey at 45, Morant at 46, Fox at 40. One sec. Trey at
uh,
45, Morant at 46, Kemba 47, Fox 48, Fat Lever 49.
yes.
Okay, Cheek, and then Porter 50. Or
So
is
I
that
went
Jamal Murray's
Murray,
choice?
Porter, Cheeks. Yeah, Murray
Okay.
50, Porter 51,
Murray.
Cheeks 52.
And then what about Fat Lever? Did he move down?
No, he was right. He was in between Fox and Murray.
Oh, okay. Lots of reshuffling. Okay. Looks good.
Where would you put Fox? Where did you have him on yours?
I had him mocked out towards the 60s. But I think you're right. I think I view Fox's earlier years as kind of a negative.
Hmm.
He wasn't that efficient. He wasn't very good defensively. Like, he showed a lot of potential, but I just don't think he was very much of a good player during the early portions of his career. But if we're looking at peak, I mean, would you rather have him or Drew Holiday? And it's an easy question, right? That's an easy thing to answer. I feel good about that. I think Fox should be near Trey and Ja, but behind them. Um,
Hmm.
I think that's good. Now, where was
Yeah,
Mo Cheeks originally? Cheeks was
I had Cheeks at 48 originally, and at
okay.
this
And where
point,
is he now?
52.
Yeah, I want him higher, but the point guards keep passing him up. I think that's fine. I think that's fine for where Cheeks is. I think there should be some substantial changes to some of the ABA players, and they might drop pretty fucking far. And so I think we'll look into that. Um, let's talk about. So Fox is ranked LaMelo Ball. Did you slot LaMelo Ball in here? Is LaMelo Ball worth it?
LaMelo Ball made my 76 through 100, but what I was really
Okay.
just thinking about is like at this point, it's such a short career, and I
He
forget
hasn't
it's
even got to
no
the 5 year
playoffs.
mark.
Has he
No,
made
all
the
right.
playoffs yet? No, he
Honestly,
hasn't even
184 games
made the
played. He's played like one good
playoffs.
season. He hasn't even hit our 5 year mark. Let's forget about it. Um, you
Yeah,
had Fred Van
yeah.
Fleet, we
Um,
had Fred Van Fleet written
so I did.
down. Sorry,
Yes, I also have Halliburton,
that guy did
who I
MVP
snuck
year. Yeah,
into. Yeah, I snuck. You put Van Vliet in the 76 to 100 range.
yeah, I did. Did you?
I actually put him at 66, just a guy above Stephon Marbury and Mike Bibby.
Hmm. Okay. No, I think I like those names, honestly. I had him pretty early on, one of the first couple names in the 76 list. So, um, I see the comparison. I see the comparison. I'm comfortable doing that.
I mean, Stephon Marbury made every team that he was ever on worse. Got his numbers, never elevated them. Halliburton, yeah, I know he hasn't gotten his numbers since the injury, but that initial start of the season, what he did and what he meant to the Pacers is more than I think you could ever say Marbury contributed to winning. And even now, Halliburton getting the team to the Eastern Conference Finals, which I should say, we're recording this before the start of the Eastern Conference Finals.
Mhm.
So anything that happens thereafter, we'll have to take into consideration.
You put Halliburton between Bibby and
I put him over Marbury and Bibby.
okay. I thought we were talking about Fred Van Fleet.
No, no. I
Yeah.
love
So
Freddie V.
where do you have Fred Van Fleet?
I did put him in at what is now 73.
Okay, so
For
we're on
me,
line with that. Yeah, makes
yeah,
sense.
I got him between. I got him just above Steve Francis.
Okay,
I could be talked down on that.
Steve Francis. Who the fuck is Steve Francis?
Francis was at 70, but because of all of the other players
Okay,
that
okay.
we've thrown
Lots
in there,
going on.
this is the problem. This is why I was saying we should just talk 1 through 10. Who do you have? The 21
Yeah,
through.
but I think we need to get the modern players placed and then go back. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because if we go 1 through 10, it's like, well, I think X, Y, and Z should be here, and then it throws off the next whole thing.
I know.
I
It's
think that's
just
everybody. Is that everyone?
um I mean, we could discuss. Do we think what Mike Conley has done is enough to get him over Tricky Dick McGuire, Andy Phillips, Drew Holiday having another excellent year? Where does he belong? Should he move up or should he fall? I didn't make any major changes. I think we just do the 1 through 75,
Yeah.
we'll be able to discuss those.
I think those are good. Did you have any changes in your top 10?
No changes in the top 10.
In 10 through 20 then?
Yes, I do
Got you.
have Luka rising up the ranks.
Mhm.
Our 1 through 10, if you would allow me to read
Mhm.
we have Magic Johnson, Steph Curry, Oscar Robertson, Jerry West, Chris Paul, Bob Cousy, Steve Nash, Isaiah Thomas, Jason Kidd, and Gary the Glove Payton. I think that is a solid top 10. I'm sad to leave Walt Frazier and John Stockton sitting at 11 and 12, Russell Westbrook at 13. But I'm happy to make a case for Luka Doncic at 14 at this point.
I think Luka should be above Westbrook.
You want Luka above Westbrook? I don't know if I can get there.
He's got his dude. He wins playoff games. He's peaked higher over this last, like, since the beginning of his career. Essentially, he whoops ass in the playoffs. His team wins games. He's shown more as a number one option. He's more MVP finishes. Um, he is like an automatic first team All NBA. Where I think Westbrook at his best was like a frustrating first team All NBA. Um, I mean, I think
I,
Doncic is so good, even when the Mavs are like questionable. He's the first team All NBA player. Um, I mean, Westbrook peak. He made 2 first team All NBAs, 16 and 17, and that's not even considering that it was position at the time. Like, Luka's gonna be first team All NBA this season, last season, season before that. Um, Let me double check that.
would you accept Doncic over John Stockton as well?
Hell
I
yeah.
know I know I've gone
Yeah, I
from
fucking
just
would.
I,
Yeah, let's
so
push it.
so I know I went from just saying that I don't know if I can get him over Westbrook, but I do think maybe we should flip this around and we should go Doncic, Westbrook, Stockton. Because my knock on Stockton is that it's a long time of consistent level 2 play. Westbrook is also a fair amount of consistent number 2, flirting with being a number 1 guy. Doncic has been the number 1 guy. You can say that he's leading teams to these places. Westbrook, when they made the Western Conference Finals, he's riding Durant's coattails. He's actually probably a negative on that run. So I think if we're going to do this, if we're going to push Luka to maintain positional consistency, we need to go Luka at number 12, Westbrook at 13, and then I'm totally fine kicking Stockton below to number 14. How do you feel about that?
I really can't get there. Let me just adjust this real quick. I think Lucas should be above Stockton, and I think that's right. With Westbrook, I just don't really see the correlation to winning. Where for Stockton, even though the playoffs are moderately successful, the Jazz are a regular season powerhouse and some of the best offenses ever at times during the late 90s, with just like spamming Stockton Malone pick and rolls. Like, there was a Stockton version that could contribute to a finals team. I think
That's
more
fair.
than Westbrook, even though he made the 2012 finals, and the regular season winning, the playoff winning, I think is just better. Um,
Okay.
let's keep it there.
All
Let's
right.
keep
I'm
it
not
there.
going to fight you too much on that. Um,
Big jump, big jump. And like, we also need to we need to go back later on once we finish these and adjust the top 300 um based on these changes, because we've done this all in order. Be super fun. Maybe let's make a but we'll do that now before this is over, because we only did a
no,
couple
no, no.
of what.
Adjusting top 300 is going to be its own exercise.
Well, just the
We've
point. I
already
think if
we're
we do
planning
it,
to pack in.
the
No,
point
no, no.
guard version of it. Okay, it take like 10 minutes to just be like, hey, this player is now ranked between these guys, these 2 point guards. Where should he fall? Take 10 minutes.
We'll,
Okay,
we'll, we'll get there. This is the prelude to us ranking out 76 to 100.
that's true. That's true. Okay, Kyrie Irving at 19. I think Kyrie should be higher. I think there's two parts, but even before this playoff run, where I think he has been really, really good, or even just this season, he's been really, really good. I kind of went back and just appreciated his 2016 playoff run more, the way he just whooped ass in the finals. I mean, you can say LeBron got him there, which is true, but if LeBron took other players there, would they have done the same thing? And I think the answer is mostly no. I think he has one of the best finals performances, playoff runs by a point guard that resulted in a championship. Plus, you get the added bonus of this season. I think he should be above at least Tim Hardaway.
I ended up with him there, what is now 18. Um, so our next several after Westbrook, now we go Damian Lillard at 15, Tiny at 16, Kevin Johnson at 17, and I just couldn't get Kyrie over Kevin Johnson. Just
Neither.
just Kevin ran a number of 50-win Suns teams before Barkley showed up. He was one of the best players in the game, and he was there for a good number of games. Like Kyrie doesn't get awards considerations because he doesn't play enough games in the regular season. Like even before the 65 game rule went in, he just didn't play enough games to merit consideration. And so that's going to be one of my knocks on Kyrie. But I had initially built my matrix to ignore players who played less than 30 games in a season because I was like, if
Mhm.
you're playing less than 30, those numbers don't matter. Those numbers, I don't care. They're going to be more volatile. And Kyrie had a super great shooting year that one year in Brooklyn where he's only playing road games. He's maintained kind of those similar shooting splits since then. So I'm starting to rethink how I feel about that. And so I'm down for moving him up to 18.
It's such a small change too, but it
Yeah.
feels powerful. Even on the all-time list, looking at it, because we have Kyrie at 92, Hardaway at 90, and so there's certainly room for Kyrie to get up a little bit because we're going to a conference finals, going to another finals. Can we get there? And then
Hmm.
we could talk about like, well, is he actually closer to Dame or something? It would take
Yeah.
big finals performance, but still.
I mean, if he's huge and instrumental in them knocking out Minnesota, like, okay, now I'm interested in him over Kevin Johnson. We have Tiny at 70 all time. I don't know if he can quite get up to 70 all time, but if they win the championship and Kyrie's a big part of it, yeah, I'm interested to to come back and have that conversation.
All right. Are you ready for the big ABA explosion? What-
Let's just work our way down the list a little bit. We've got Tim
oh yeah,
Hardaway 19, Parker 20, Billups 21, Dennis Johnson 22. I would like to push for a change. Sorry, Dennis Johnson is at 23. Dave Bing is at 22. I would like to
you
flip
want to
flop
flip
those
those?
guys.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm interested.
I
Yeah, I'm a big Dennis Johnson fan. I gotta write. I'm losing track of the fuck I'm doing.
think I think
Flipped.
uh, when I redid my matrix and split out playoffs, Dave Bing is just not a playoff guy. Like he was a consistent player for the Pistons for a decade, and that
Mhm.
decade the Pistons were not a playoff team, were not good in the playoffs, and so
Where did we
I'd rather
have?
give it to Dennis.
So you had Bing 104, Dennis 109. That feels right. I feel good
Yeah,
about that.
yeah. I just
Um.
want to flip flop those guys.
Okay.
Uh,
Then we had Penny Hardaway 24, Lenny Wilkins 25. Derrick Rose 26. SJ just got placed at 27. Gus Williams 29. Jalen Brunson just got placed. Sorry, Gus Williams 28. Brunson just got placed 29. Mark Price at 30. Anything there?
nope, nothing there.
Okay. Jojo White 31. Bob Davies 32. And then three names I want to scrub off the face of the earth: Jimmy Jones, Matt Galvin, and John Wall. And we'll talk about Wall first just because it's less complicated. I think John Wall was a very good player. I think he had some impressive playoff moments and led a Wizards team to the playoffs a couple times. But I think everyone kind of understood the limitations on like where a team like that was going. It also was just quite brief. Like the Wizards are never like a serious contender. Um, I think they peak out like an overachieving high 40 win team essentially. Um, I don't think there's a team that makes a finals with John Wall as its best player. Um, I don't really think it's close to that. We have him at 156. And I just feel like they're probably better second option. He probably should be close to like 170-ish. It's the lack of 3-point shooting because as he got better, the league became more 3-point oriented,
Mm-hmm.
and his game became a little less effective. And so we could say like 2018 Wall was crazy. It's like every day his game was less effective because he could not shoot. He really couldn't shoot at all, like Westbrook shooting.
And his athleticism went downhill because like there was a time where he was. I mean, he was a hybrid between John Morant and Chris Paul. Like he had the bounce and the athleticism of like what we see with John nowadays, but he was more patient, more grounded, more of a facilitator than just a straight rim running attacker.
Yeah.
I really like John Wall. I also had to change in this sphere of Gilbert Arenas, who is 34.
Okay.
I wanted to drop down. Also, right behind
Okay.
Gilbert Arenas, we have Larry Jones, who is an ABA guy. So this is going to get kind of
It's
interesting.
gonna get messy. Let's do one at a time. Can we drop Wall behind Darren Williams?
Yes.
Okay, let's start there. This is fun. I'm enjoying myself. And then okay, just to give my speech to the audience, I did a top like 20 ABA players list, and I went through all the ABA guys and the whole ABA all-time team. The early ABA is really bad, and I think it's worse than we gave it credit for. You could drop any NBA bench player into the ABA in 68 and they would have made an all-star team. And there's that. I'm not just saying that. There are many examples of that.
Hmm.
You can look at someone like Larry Jones and say, hey, like he got better. The Sixers in 65 didn't give him a chance because they were a good team. They didn't have to give him rotational minutes, and he played much better in the ABA. But I'm looking at his career. It's 68 to 71, and it just kind of slowly goes downhill. Like each season he gets worse, each season the league gets better. I don't think that's an accident. I think we had guys like this. Um, where did we have Larry Jones? We had Jones 178. Is that
Hmm.
true? Jimmy Jones. I'm looking at the
Yeah.
wrong Jones. Jimmy Jones
So we had Larry
150.
Jones
I honestly
178.
think, yeah, I think we are about 100 spots off on these guys. I don't know how you feel. I'm thinking about this. I think we're about 100 places off. It doesn't have to be
So
exactly 100, but these are top 300 guys. I don't think they're top 200 players.
let's just start like this. Who did you have at 33 in your re-rank? Who are
Well, I
you
didn't
most
re-rank
happy about in
anything.
this
I just
group?
wrote like higher or lower, and then I was going to talk through it
Okay.
with you. Yeah.
Okay. Let's start placing some names. I feel like that is going to kind of be what's needed here. And I'm totally chill
Hmm.
if we just want to move Darren Williams up to 33. And just I went through and I just erased from Jimmy Jones all the way down to Louis Dampier. So in our old score, that's 31, 32, 33, 30. That's uh, 12 guys. Jimmy Jones, Matt Calvin, John Wall, Darren Williams, Baron Davis, Gilbert Arenas, Larry Jones, Slater Martin, Isaiah Thomas, the Celtics version, Kyle Lowry, Rajon Rondo, and Louis Dampier. Can't tell if you're frozen or if I'm frozen. All right. Looks like he was frozen. We lost him for. All right. Aaron's back. We got the internet working again. So what I did, Aaron, is I deleted our rankings for everyone from Jimmy Jones down to Louis Dampier. So Jimmy Jones, Matt Calvin, John Wall, Darren Williams, Baron Davis, Gilbert
Shit.
Arenas, Larry Jones, Slater Martin, Isaiah Thomas, the Boston version, Kyle Lowry, Rajon Rondo, Louis Dampier. I think we just got to go through and rank these guys. And I think the guy I feel most comfortable having number one out of that group is I still like John Wall, but it's either John Wall or Darren Williams.
I think Darren Williams is good. Now what's with the Arenas hate?
What did Gil do? I mean, it's just
He's great.
it's a
Like 30
certified bucket
for a
getter.
couple seasons. Yeah. I think it should be, we'll go Darren, Wall, Arenas. How about this? Darren, Wall, Baron Davis, Gilbert Arenas. Does that appease you?
That appeases me. I can deal with that. I wasn't really sure that I wanted to make the case for like Isaiah Thomas over him or Slater Martin, but yeah.
Slater Martin should be next.
Okay. Very
Then
useful to Lakers championships.
We'll keep it going with Isaiah Thomas. Now, do you still feel strongly about Thomas over Lowry? It's Lowry's extra longevity,
yeah,
extra.
I could get Lowry over Thomas. I know it's not like this year was a crowning achievement for his longevity, but he is still playing. He's still putting up. I mean, he was pretty rough in Miami, but then he did have like a fourth quarter of the season, a Q4 comeback. It's being kind of useful. So yeah, I'm okay putting him up here.
Okay.
How would you now feel? I know we did this really differently last time around, but how would you feel about Rajon Rondo at 40 and then Louis Dampier?
Wow.
He's ABA John Stockton.
Essentially. What I like about Dampier is he maintains his effectiveness into the later years. He's still like ABA in 74, all ABA. I mean, he's not as good as these guys to start, but he lasts longer. So I have Rondo. Let me just organize this real quick. 34 John Wall, 35 Baron Davis, 36 Gilbert Arenas, 37 Lowry, 38 Isaiah Thomas, 39 Slater Martin, 40 Rajon Rondo. Then you want Dampier?
I think Dampier and then Jimmy Jones makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Because Jimmy Jones is still giving you all-star appearances into the mid 70s.
Yeah. Then Larry Jones.
I mean, I guess I would go Matt Calvin over Larry Jones.
Yeah. No, I think that's right.
Mac is Larry Jones third in MVP in 75. Maybe we even need to move Mac up a little bit.
Good. Larry Jones. Yeah, it's like 4 seasons and it's all just such early ABA stuff. And it's very good. Very, very good.
Yeah. I'd be comfortable even pushing Larry Jones back a little bit further. Like, do we really need to have Larry over Trey, over Ja?
No, I don't. I don't
push
think
him
so
down
at
below
all.
Cheeks.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's take him down below Cheeks. Because I think we're like 100, so I think we should still continue the great purge. I think
really.
I think that's right. I think Larry Jones is the one I was most upset about.
Because the other guys are putting in all-star appearances in the 70s.
Yeah,
they're
into the late 70s,
yeah.
So I think that's about it.
So where's Larry landing for you?
Jesus, 1 second.
because I could push him down pretty much as far as the well,
I think let's go 53 behind Gene Shu.
53 behind Gene Shu. Okay. I have Gene Shu at 53 right now. Oh, but if we move this guy down, then everyone else moves up. Okay. Oh, doing this list live, discussing them.
Hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So now, do we want to have Ja and Trey over Mac or Jimmy? Or do we feel like we've gotten the ABA guys close enough or right enough?
What is that? Have we moved them down enough all time is my issue.
I mean,
Yeah, because behind Rondo would be like more like fringe 200. I think we're good. Like if Ja Morant and Trae Young are like one better seed, like had Ja Morant not had a basically non-existent season, had Trae Young not been wildly disappointing, we would have had them over. But this season's like just kind of a wash. There's like not much going on.
yeah.
I feel pretty good looking at it. I have no idea how I'm gonna like track all these changes, other than just re-releasing the list and say is the new list.
I'm just
Ta-da.
gonna send you the spreadsheet when I'm all done with it. But
I
here
mean,
you go.
I've been keeping track and just say this is it, the new list. I'll try to keep track of who went higher, who went lower.
All right. I've got some different changes down here in the 50s.
Okay.
But just let me read through what we now have. Darren will starting at 33, Darren Williams, 34, John Wall, Baron Davis, Gilbert Arenas, Slater Martin, Kyle Lowry, Isaiah Thomas, the Celtics version, Rajon Rondo, Louis Dampier, Jimmy Jones, Matt Calvin. 44 is Trey Young, 45, John Morant, Kemba, De'Aaron Fox, Fat Lever. Is there any case to move up Fat?
I
You
don't
feel
think
happy with him?
so.
All right.
I think he fits in well with those guys. He's a two-time All-Star, one-time All-NBA player. He has some nice statistical years, but yeah, I think it'll be fine.
All right. Jamal Murray, 49. Maybe we shouldn't have Jamal Murray quite this high yet. Maybe
That's
just
good. He
behind Porter
fucking
and Cheeks.
tore apart a couple final, like the finals of Western Conference Finals. You should know well about Jamal Murray. I
Yeah,
think
I
it's a
just
good
also
spot.
watched him fall flat on his face. So
No, he did this season for sure. But it's like, I mean, I already had him at 51. I had placed him there. And so this is
Okay.
basically where he was anyways for me. Um, just
Okay.
above Porter, which is probably fine. I don't think he should be above Terry Porter. I think you're right.
We'll just put him at 50.
Yeah, even 50.
All right. There we go. 50, 49. Mo Cheeks, Gene Shu. This is where we've now dropped Larry Jones to at 53.
Mhm.
Can I actually make the case to drop him a little bit further?
Sure.
Let's toss him behind Mookie Blaylock.
Wow. Positive?
I'm positive because, like, what did Larry Jones do? Well, all right, maybe not that far because he was really good at the start of this. All right, we'll leave him here for now. We've already gone
Yeah.
40 minutes making these re-rankings. Norm Nixon
2-hour
at
pod.
54. Well, actually, sorry. I wanted to bump Sam Cassell down a little bit.
Down?
Down.
Why?
So he was right behind Gene Shu. I think it's just the lack of stardom, the um, lack of lack of presence on a big winning team. I mean, he's
He
there
wa
for a lot of winning, but I don't know. I just kind of like
he
what
won everywhere he
Nixon.
went.
He did win everywhere he went. I just don't think he was as big of a part of that winning everywhere he went as guys like Drew Holiday and Norm Nixon were.
Okay. Yeah, not gonna fight it.
So I would just push for them to be 54 and 55, bumping Cassell back. I'm interested in Mike Conley moving up a little bit, but I kind of want to see how his run finishes.
Yeah, I like to gauge that because right now he's just like a pretty good starting point guard.
Mm-hmm. So then I'm going to read you the list as I've kind of re-ranked them, and you fight me when you hear it. Here's something.
Okay.
Andy Phillips, Dick McGuire, Mike Conley, Mookie Blaylock, James Silas, Freddie Lewis, Carl Braun, Norm Van Leer, Jason Terry, Tyrese Halliburton, Stephon Marbury, Mike Bibby, Calvin Murphy, Ron Strickland, Michael Ray Richardson, Terrell Brandon, Fred Van Vliet, Steve Francis, Sleepy Floyd makes 75.
Okay, so the two changes I noticed: Conley over Blaylock. That's totally fine. Let's do it.
Perfect.
And then what happened to Andre Miller at 73?
That was one of the other things I wanted to do. Is I wanted to push Miller down. It's just we're starting to see other guys that are I just feel like have a little bit more star or potential and power. They may not be like the world's greatest stars, but I think we were wrong having him over guys like Steve Francis. And,
Really? I think Miller played 1,300 games, and he averaged 6.5 assists for that. And I feel like his longevity, his presence, he has 5 top 20 finishes in steals per game and 13 top 20 finishes in assists per game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 top 10 finishes in assists per game. What is he? He's 12th in assists. I don't think Steve Francis would know winning basketball if it smacked him in the fucking face. I mean, Francis was he was not good defensively. He was inefficient on offense. He was exciting and talented, but I don't.
Yeah, that's fair. All right.
Keeping Miller.
So we're keeping Miller at 70, or are we okay having Van Vliet above him?
No, but I'm okay having him below him.
All right. So Van Vliet is 74, Miller is 73, Francis is 75. And we've already started
Van
ranking
Vliet with it's a VA Van and then another V.
Van Vliet. Yep, double V.
Double V. Okay. All right. Let me copy this onto my other sheet.
Good news.
What a beautiful mess.
Good news is we've already ranked out 5 of our next guys that we need to rank by just tossing in some of the young guys, the active players. If we just take what our list was and kind of bump them down, our 76 would be Sleepy Floyd, 77 would be Archie Clark, 78 Nick Van Exel, 79 Ben Simmons, and 80 Mark Jackson.
Okay. 1 second. Is that true?
They were 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75.
Yes. 1 second. Okay.
I'm going to let you know. I have ranked point guards all the way down until I get D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, I mean, when I get a group of players, I rank all of them. So I'm out to 127, 132. I mean, it's loose. By the time you get out there, when I'm like, I know I'm not going to be considering them. Okay, so 75 is Steve Francis, 76 is Sleepy Floyd, then Archie Clark, Nick Van Exel, Ben Simmons, Mark Jackson, leaving us with 81. Nate, who should that be?
At 81, I would like to nominate Larry Costello.
Yeah, me too.
And I will pull up my case that I have for him. 6-time All-Star, 1-time All-NBA, 1-time champion, Hall of Famer as a contributor, not as a player. His ring comes with the 67 Warriors, which he plays just 2 games for. So it's a ring. Doesn't really matter that much. But he's got 6 seasons in the top 10 in the assists per game, 2 in the top 5. He's an efficient shooter and scorer for his day. Um, and just good 60s basketball.
Yeah. Very, very traditional point guard role in the 60s. He
Hmm.
showed limited scoring upside, but he got his teammates involved. And two of free throw percentage titles, really an excellent free throw shooter for the era, and a pretty good rebounding guard as well. At just 6'1", about 4 rebounds per game. Um, Made the playoffs, I think, every season except for one, maybe two. Made the playoffs a whole lot. Um, I think it's the right nomination. It's early basketball, but it's a good player from that era. And okay, that's
We're going to have a
81.
few of those early guys that are going to be a little bit hard to rank. But I think, at least with him, is you do have those 6 All-Star seasons that, um, when there's only 100 guys in the league, doesn't mean quite as much as now when you've got like 450 guys, but it does still mean something. And the fact that he's got 6 of them, that's a lot of consistency.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for the next player, I'd like to go in essentially the same direction with Guy Rogers. How do you feel about Guy Rogers?
I had Guy Rogers one guy below. I had Derek Harper above him, but I'm interested.
I like Rogers for a couple reasons. You get the 4-time All Star. You get the 2-time assist champ. Um, is he just a wilt merchant? No, he's not. He got one of his assist titles just doing that. But in 1967, he was put on the expansion Bulls and averaged 18 points and led the league with 11 assists. Just the second player in NBA history to break that 11 assists per game mark after Oscar Robertson. 3 seasons in with double-digit assists per game. Um, in Hall of Famer as a player in 2014.
And as his coach, Alex Hannum, said, Roger far overcomes his size handicap by being the best middleman on the fast break since Bob Cousy. Almost as great of a speedster and dribbler as Cousy was, Guy can outmaneuver and upset giants. I like it.
Do you like him 82? And then Derek Harper?
Yeah. My thing with Harper is, he's got a stretch averaging 18 points, 7 assists. He receives all defensive votes in 7 seasons. He only makes it twice, but just a peak two-way type of guard. Almost 1,200 career games, 1,199. Um, he's one of the premier defensive guards. Super quick, uh, very high level contributor. 27th all time in career assists, but never top 10 assists per game. So it's a very strong longevity play, not quite as much of a peak play.
Yeah, I think he demonstrated some good stats, bad team, and I mean really bad team. Like
Hmm.
the early 90s Mavs are pretty horrendous, but he still makes the playoffs 6 times with Dallas before that stretch starts to really get bad. Um, Showed he can contribute in the playoffs and then takes a lesser role and is on some of the best defenses ever in the mid to late 90s Knicks. Um, and nearly 1,200 games, 16 years, longevity, winning, pretty good stats. I think he's the right call.
Yeah. When you say bad Mavs teams, he led the Mavs teams in win shares 5 times. One of them was for an 11-71 team. So
It's
that's
worst team ever,
I was like
or second worst.
I don't know if that's gonna help or hurt his case in this case. So
Hmm.
after them, I have Brian Taylor, who
Right.
uh he's an ABA guy here, known as a defensive stopper. Joins the Nets, and it does have one steal title, 2 All-Star appearances. This is his name. He kind of stumbles through the merger a little bit. Like starts off good, has 2 injury seasons, then bounces back like pretty well. Um, Bob Costas describes him as a poor man's Walt Frazier, lightning quick, knack for stealing the ball, could just pull up and hit the jumper, cerebral, excellent passer. leads led the ABA in 3-point percentage in 76 and the NBA in 81.
That's pretty impressive stuff. I actually am kind of more interested in his predecessor, Melcioni, Bill Melcioni, Melchioni. Got to nail the Italian pronunciation.
Mm,
He
okay.
has three straight ABA assist titles, and
Melchioni.
Melchioni, 2 top 10 MVP finishes in an ABA first team in 1972, averaged 21 points, 3 boards, and a league high 8.4 assists. I feel like I'm more interested in that. I like Brian Taylor, but Melcioni kind of peaked as a top 15 scorer for points per game and the best passer in the league.
So we do run into our same thing with the ABA, and it just being a better league when Taylor's there, rather than when Melchioni's there.
Sure.
That's my
Do we
kind of
think
knock. Is I think you.
AB? Sorry, go ahead.
I think Melchioni was a bench player in the NBA in 67, 68. Kind of makes the jump, and now he's an all-star. Or going to the ABA, and so that just was my kind of thing. Is one of the things we discussed at the start of this is you see NBA scrubs going to the ABA and becoming all stars, and I think that's kind of more the case with Melchioni.
Do we think ABA first team, all ABA first team, in 72 is worth less than an all-star appearance in 76?
I would say they're fairly comparable.
They're fairly comparable. I'm comfortable going Taylor than Melcioni. Let's do
Okay.
that.
The other thing I would just say with Taylor is you have a positive true shooting added guy. Melcioni, you don't. You've also got significantly more win shares in roughly the same number of games. Just in my mind, some of the factors that I look at, especially when we're talking about guys scoring.
I would like to put someone above both of them.
Who would you like to put above both of them?
Goran Dragic.
Interesting. Okay. There's someone I would like to put above Goran. Actually, two people I'd like to put above Goran. But I think all of these guys are in the same relative range.
Mm-hmm. That's why we're doing
Buddy
this.
Jeanette and Al Cervi.
Okay. Good early NBA polls.
Yeah.
Let's do Taylor, Melcioni, Dragic, and then I had Cervi. We can combine it that way. I had Cervi right afterwards. Let's hear
Okay.
the Al Cervi case. I know you got it.
So Al Cervi's the digger. Player coach
Really
with the
gotta
Syracuse
stick
Nationals.
the D sound. Be super fucking careful.
Yeah, very, very good call. Digger, as in like he digs post
With the shovel,
holes.
yes.
Yes. Listen, man was just tough as nails. Tenacity of defense. Also coached the team. Him and Buddy Jeanette are two of the guys that are like super influential in the pre-NBA era and only barely touch the NBA era. Like Cervi stops playing in 53, Buddy stops playing in 50. But like players in that 48 to 53 time span, if you ask them who are like the top 5, 6 players in the game, these guys' names get mentioned. And like we're a ways down from the top of those guys, the George Mikins, the Jim Pollards, the hell, even at this point, the Joe Folkses. But I think we do need to get these guys on the list just because of their historical significance. You're muted.
I think with those guys, you're never going to be able to compare it to Goran Dragic or something like that. You're just going to have to say, you know what? I think it feels right, but let's put some of the great historical players into a list like this if we're trying to get everybody. With Dragic, he's a one-time All-Star, one-time All-NBA player. What I like most about him, he averaged like 24-4 basically on the way to the 2020 finals. A huge part of why that Heat team made the finals. And outside of that, has a third-team All-NBA appearance and 20 point per game seasons a couple times. Good passer, good playoff player. Longevity is pretty solid as well.
Yeah, I think if he had been healthy for that 2020 finals run, it may have been a different story. I still think the Lakers win, but I think it's a lot closer. And the Lakers were pretty shaky taking that victory, so I'm not even fully sure
Yeah,
of that.
there's something about that. But all right, who do you have
All right,
next?
well, let's lock these guys in. You want
Okay.
Dragic at 84.
Yes.
Then we go Taylor. Then we go Melchioni. Then Al Cervi and Buddy Jeanette.
Yeah.
All right, just gotta make sure they actually type these guys in, or else I'll be lost when we come back to this. I'll have to re-listen to the pod. I'll have to re-edit the pod. All right, so that's 88. Man, we made some good progress.
I have 80.
How would you
Yes, or
feel?
88.
How would you feel about LaMelo Ball at this point?
Bad. Poor. I don't
Poorly?
think I don't think he should be on this list. He made one All-Star team for a whatever Hornets team. He's played in less than 200 games. He hasn't even played in 5 seasons. We've only jumped the 5-season barrier for Anthony Edwards because he's so fucking cool and he's really good. And I don't think LaMelo Ball's played in like 60 games the past 2 years.
All right. Just looking for some other guys with some high level play. Some of the other top guys on my board are like Don Busey, Johnny Moore, Larry Brown, Monte Ellis, and Doc Rivers.
Is it Busey?
I-
I always thought it was
Is it Don
Boost.
Buse?
I think it might be Buse. And I'm basing this
Probably is
off of
Buse.
nothing. But I just
His
like,
nickname is Boo, so
yeah, right? That makes sense. I like Boost. For the listeners, led the league, led the ABA in assists per game and steals per game, all-time record for steals per game in a season, that 76 season with over 4. Then came to the NBA and did it again, assist title and steal title. There's not much scoring going on, and it's also quite brief. But I'm still interested. What was the other name? Monte Ellis, Doc Rivers.
yeah. I feel like we had guys like Nick Van Exel and Steve Francis not too long ago. Monte is of a very similar theme.
Yeah, I feel like I'd rather have Boost 6 first team all defensive nods and all NBA second team over someone like Monte Ellis. Monte Ellis, like I think he won most improved player and then got votes again the next year. And it's like I think that sums up his career. I think he's just so promising. He keeps improving, infinite improvements.
I found a Don Boost quote.
Mm.
Said a lot of people compare me to Jerry Sloan because we both went to Evansville, or they'll say I'll play defense like Jerry West, which honestly, that's a great compliment to pay Jerry West at this point because we forget about how good West was at defense. He says maybe that's just because I look like him. But in high school, my idol was Cassie Russell because he was always putting it up. The steals just came naturally. I'm not as quick as Watts or Walt. I just steal with my hands. I do have exceptionally quick hands.
Is that a Slick
So
Watts mention? Supersonics
yeah,
legend Slick Watts. Wow.
that man's busting out the slick Watts.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, let's do Boost at 89.
I will say, not much by way of playoff performances. That does hurt him a bit, but I'm down with Boost at 89.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I have a name to throw out there. My dogs are going fucking ballistic. How about Kevin Porter? 4, count them. 4 assist titles.
Yeah. Kevin did not make my top 100.
You're full of shit. He has 4 assist titles. He's the starting point guard on a finals team.
Which finals was he starting point guard for? I don't remember that. Oh, it's the Washington team. That's why I'm remembering that.
37 minutes a night, 14-7. There's some winning there. I mean, in 1979, he set the then record for most assists per game in a season with 13.4. I think it's still the only non-automatic Hall of Famer to reach the 13 assist mark. I think it's only Magic, Stockton, and Isaiah to get to 13 assists, and fucking Kevin Porter. Not Kevin Porter Jr.'s dad, by the way.
One of my problems with him is it looks like these are almost like Rondo assist numbers, where the man leads in assists, and then the teams are just bad. Teams are not good on offense, and it's kind of a lot of a ball domineering play that doesn't lead anywhere.
Are they bad, or is he leading the league in assists on a 60-win Wizards team, Bullets team, that makes the finals? Because if
that team was good,
because we can say it's Rondo assists because of their defense, and he was also good defensively. So I think you have. I think you are looking at Rondo assists, but we have Rondo ranked pretty high, right? And so if we're looking at point guard 90 instead of point guard 30 something, I feel like that's reasonable.
So his 1 year with Washington where he puts up those assists, they make the playoffs. When he does it again in 78, they don't. When he does it in 79, they don't. When he does it in 81, they don't make the playoffs. Each of those years.
That's fine.
And the other thing that I looked at with him is that he's traded a number of times, and he's not traded for anyone. Like, he is traded. He's traded with cash for 2 second-round draft picks by the Pistons. Then he's traded for Eric money.
I think in the 70s, teams were not. It's not like now where if you say you're getting rid of a guy, it's like because you want to get rid of him. I mean, in the 70s, maybe he wanted $10,000 of a crazy $10,000 a year or something, and the Pistons could match that or something. I think there's a variety of reasons why he could be traded, but if we're looking at someone like, I'm not going to put Doc Rivers above him. I mean, like it's the same kind of role, and Rivers isn't 13 assists per game.
No, but Rivers has much better longevity. So sure. I kind of have this cluster of Rivers, Kenny Anderson, and Avery Johnson, who are just, I feel like all of those guys, if you're going to have this guy do this, let's have him do it for years. Could I interest you in Johnny Moore? He's technically the next highest guy on my board.
Johnny Moore.
Johnny Moore leads the playoffs in assists per game 2 times. He does it in 82 and 83. 14.6 assists per game, 11 playoff games. Also leads the playoffs in steals that year, averaging 22.5 points per game. So it is 83. Just backtrack.
Gotcha.
22.5 points per game, 14.6 assists per game, 2.5 steals per game, and it is a 2-round playoffs. It's not like this is a 3-game sweep or something. Like, big play for the Spurs.
Let's do. All right, I've worked it out. Let's do Doc Rivers, Kenny Anderson, Kevin Porter, Johnny Moore.
Can I get more above all of them? And then we go in that order.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So Johnny Moore, he sneaks in there and then he just disappears. I cannot pronounce the type of meningitis that he got, but it's also known as desert fever, causes headaches and nausea. And just had like an invasive surgery and lost 30 pounds. And it was just like done. Like once he got this, just falls off, tries to make a comeback, and it's just, he can't do it anymore. Who's this? I found on a Spurs blog website, Moore's style represented the ideal of unselfishness that would become evolutionary in the dynamic of the Spurs dynasty. the flowering of the Spurs' beautiful game was rooted in Moore's style. His command of the floor while feeding the league's most prolific scorers, setting the stage for the following phases of Spurs superstars. It's, you know, kind of a lost great.
I'm interested. Yeah, no, I think that was a beautiful quote. Let's do Boost at 89, then Moore 90. Doc Rivers, good defensive guard, good playmaking, 900 something games. I like that placement. Kenny Anderson played forever, if I remember correctly. One-time All-Star. Okay, he played. The years are long, 14 years. But it's a pretty good 18.9 assist seasons. All-Star with the Nets in 94.
You interested?
Yeah, then Porter. So 92 Anderson, 93 Porter. We have two older names, Fred Scolari and
Ernie?
yeah, and Ernie. How do you pronounce that? Ernie
Caverly?
Calverley. This is great. Calverley led the league in assists per game twice. 3.4 and 47 and 2.5 and 48. Unreal playmaking. Just, I mean, I think the way assists were counted was extremely strict, and this was a much slower, less offensive heavy era. He also shot 29% from the field, but you know what? That's okay because it's early or late 40s basketball.
He
Do you
also
want
is
to
the
place?
reason why we
Go ahead.
he's also the reason why we track assists.
Hmm.
Cavalry's passing at Rhode Island. I want to say he was. I want to say they were in the NIT or the NCAA title game in his college years. It was a huge thing, and he became like a college superstar, and people loved his passing and playmaking. And so the NBA, to try to set themselves apart from other leagues, when they got him, was like, well, what if we put assists in box scores? What if we track assists so we can like highlight what makes one of our stars great because we don't have, the stars of the NBL. So, when you say his playmaking, great for the era, it really is. It's why we have assists as a stat. That's because they wanted to track this guy. Ultimately, he wasn't that good in the pros. Like he was good, but he just wasn't. Makes all BAA was its second team in his first year when the
Yeah,
league had like no one, and then doesn't make it later. I put a mark that I want to figure a way for him to get into the top 500 when we finish out the 500, but I don't
he
think he
should
needs to
be.
be in the top 100 point guards.
Okay. So, do you like Scolari?
I could get there. What's your Scolari case?
It's the same as usual. It's the same as it always is. Um,
Well, make
with
it.
the
Tell
old
the people
guys.
who Scolari is.
A two-time All-Star, two-time BAA second team. Although I believe looking at his numbers, the All-Star game, the first one is in 52, correct?
Correct.
So
So
could he have
he's
made 5 All-Star teams, 4 All-Star teams? The accolades are a little bit behind. Placed in the top 20 for points per game 5 times, in the top 20 for assists per game 5 times, with 3 top 10 finishes in assists per game. It's the elite passing for early basketball. It's pretty similar to the other point guards of the era. I think he's better than Calvary, given it's later on, given his accolades are a bit better, and he plays for longer. I think I'm ready for it because the next guy is DeJounte Murray, which is like Jesus. It's a step down from from a pioneer of the game, I guess. But are you comfortable going Scolari?
I am comfortable with it. Do you know what his nickname is?
I don't.
Fat Freddy. Blubber.
That's right.
Butterball.
Me and my brother were cracking up about that. We're like, how this guy's fucking gigantic. He's at
So,
5'10", 180.
hey man, I'm trying to slim down to 180 at this point, and at 5'10", but you know,
Yeah, he's got a
so
round face.
Charlie Rosen wrote the book, The First Tip Off, about the first season of the BAA. Has this to say about him: he's a dynamic scorer and underrated defender. Fleshy hips, bulging stomach, spindly legs, and soft thigh muscles. Still, he was quick and strong, and his peers touted him as the best all-around guard in the BAA.
That's unbelievable. He's like Rumpelstiltskin. Okay. Fat Freddy in at 94. Man.
Can I just give you some names here that are my
Please.
general vicinity here? Because I also have DeJounte Murray in this range for his one excellent year with the Spurs, which was also for a very bad team. But I have Jameer Nelson, I have Avery Johnson, I have Monte Ellis, and Larry Brown. Any of those
Those
names?
are the guys I actually want to talk about. Yeah, let's do Jameer Nelson first.
I wish he was healthier.
Let's do DeJounte first.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is DeJounte at least produced one really great season that none of the rest of these guys have been at that level.
Then Jameer Nelson. Nelson, like that, this kind of hyper efficient. He kind of reminds me of Jamal Murray, like what Jamal Murray is for the Nuggets. Like he was that for that Orlando team. Kind of this closing guard, hit big shots, get his own shots. Solid defensively. I mean, and he also was quite rotund. And it helped with his defensive efforts as he was quite strong as a point of attack defender for that Orlando team.
Yeah. I wish he was healthier during their finals run. That would have really added another dynamic level that probably could have gotten Orlando another game off of the Lakers, but it certainly would help them get there or easier because they had kind of a bumpy run getting there. All right, so Murray at 95, Nelson at 96. I'd like to put Monte Ellis in here, 97. I know it's not winning basketball, but how many years was he at or above 20 points? What's this? From 08 to 12. He's got.
Okay, really,
we've got a 5-year stretch averaging.
We've talked about this. We've been over this.
I think that in different circumstances could be really valuable.
I'm gonna lay this down. I've tried to warn you over text message. Monte Ellis is a shooting guard. He plays exclusively shooting guard. He played only shooting guard.
Oh,
he played shooting guard every season.
What am I doing? You did. You messaged me about this.
I said that.
I don't know why I still have him in the point guard rankings.
In your defense, he was very much a ball dominant, undersized shooting guard. On first glance, on just like what I remember Monte Ellis, he like I think he played a version of point guard. But I think I think he'll be a top 100 shooting guard pretty easily.
Well, so the thing that with Monte Ellis is I remember his Golden State days the most. And in Golden State, he played next to Baron Davis. So he was like, he should have been a point guard. But with Baron Davis, you play shooting guard. Then he played with Steph Curry. And it just was like, in my mind, it's the 2 point guards. Like, same thing we've got going on with Jalen Brown, Jason Tatum. I think they're both small forwards. Kawhi and Paul George, they're both small forwards. Luka and Kyrie Irving, they're both point guards. But, that's why I keep having them in here. All right. So if we kick Monte out, Jameer Nelson was 96. We still need 97.
Muggsy Bogues.
Muggsy
come on,
off the top rope. I really
You're
love Muggsy, but
interested.
I just couldn't see my way to get him in here.
Bogues is 25th all time in assists. He placed in the top 10 for assists per game. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. As high as a second place finish in 94. 6 top 20 finishes in steals per game. At 5'3", you might think like, oh, how is he a positive defensive player? You ever tried to dribble against somebody that is the floor? Like you, Muggsy Bogues was the space between the opponent's hand and the ground, which the ball was being dribbled. So like they were dribbling at a 5'3" level. It's like right at his face level. He's like, oh, I'll take that. Like let me just grab that real quick. And so Muggsy was really quite an effective point of attack defender. Obviously, the height limits his defensive impact, but he was incredibly quick. He was extremely athletic, and I want to press that he is the most athletic 5'3" dude possibly to ever play professional sports. To make professional basketball, to make the NBA at 5'3", you have to be faster than everyone else and a ridiculous athlete just in terms of vertical leap, and he was that. You don't really notice because he's so short, but he was a pretty intimidating point of attack defender because of the instincts and just the quickness and the surprising strength, because he was the center of gravity was real low.
I listen. I love Muggsy, and I can't argue with a lot of the things that you said there. But what I will say is, the man does not have the longevity of Avery Johnson and does not have the playoffs of Avery Johnson. Muggsy is very
Okay, yeah, I
targetable in
forgot we didn't
playoffs.
have
There's a
Johnson
reason why
ranked.
he's only getting 19 games. Yeah. I'd like to
Okay,
get Johnson in there at 97. Avery over 1,000 games played. We can talk about all time. We have numbers that kind of correlate with that, but it's just really high level defense, a lot of high level playoff chops. The man plays in 21 series. He gets 90 playoff games in. And part of that's who he plays with. He's with the Spurs for a long time, but he's also getting good minutes and he is contributing at a high level and not quite as attackable as Muggsy Bogues was.
okay, yeah, no, I think Johnson's just kind of an upgrade over that. Just 3 spots left. Mo Williams,
It's kind of it.
LeBron's co-star.
I don't. Yeah. Didn't Mo come
Williams
up
played
really
a
short in those playoff
little
runs?
over
Isn't
800
that why?
games. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm just trying to pull up my Mo Williams notes because yeah,
It's really that 09 season
I
and
guess
just how he paired with LeBron. He acted as this, um he was a extremely good three-point shooter, 44% that season. That allowed the Cavs to build this. The help wasn't obvious around LeBron, but it was tailored to him pretty perfectly. He didn't have a second star like you might think help might look like,
mhm.
but the Cavs were able to surround him with excellent shooters and good defensive players and just let him go fucking buck wild. And you got 60 plus win teams, really successful teams, finals appearances because of that. And Mo Williams was a big part of that kind of extra help that might be underrated during his first stint in Cleveland. Um, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think you probably need to put Mo above Muggsy.
Yeah.
I do just want to make the case for Larry Brown. Brown is a big part of the Oakland Oak, or the Oakland. God, were they the Oakland Oaks? Why am I blanking? He helps them win a championship in '69 after
Yeah.
or Rick Barry goes down. It's him and it's God. Why can't I think? Maybe because we've been doing this for like 2 hours.
Warren Jabali.
It's him and the other Warren Jabali, but there was another guy
Yeah.
who was like his best friend and on the
Hmm.
Oaks, who's more notable. As soon as I say his name, we're all gonna know who it is. Mm, Doug Moe.
Doug Mo.
Doug Moe that were big parts of this. I think just if we want to talk about peaks, I think Brown needs to be on this list somewhere. And as we get to the end of 100,
I think I'll give
I'm
you
gonna have
this.
him here.
You have the 3-year stretch from Larry Brown, the earliest ABA stuff you can get. We already had that conversation.
Mhm.
I think Phil Ford's 3-year stretch is better. I think that's a more impressive, more impactful, better era. As a rookie, was top 10 MVP voting and second team All NBA. For his first 4 seasons, averaged 15 points and 8 assists. And the Kings were making the playoffs, and that's pretty impressive for Sacramento Kings basketball. He was top 5 in assists per game twice. He was top 5 in steals per game once. I think, given the brevity of it is the same and the era is just better, I think we should go Phil Ford and then Larry Brown.
For our last two guys,
I want Larry Brown to be in here, but I
any
feel like
any
that.
feelings? Yeah, that's fair. Any feelings about Damon Stoudemire? I like Mighty Mouse, but I don't know. Like he was my 100th guy on my initial rankings. In part, just what he did with the early Toronto teams, a combination of playmaking and scoring. Also, but with I want to say it was Portland off the top of my head. Yeah,
Toronto, right?
first
Portland.
Yeah. First 3 years, averaging 19 points, almost 9 assists, and a steal and a half per game. They're a bad franchise. They're expansion franchise. But, um, you know, at the time of taking the note, top 100 in career made threes. Maybe it's 97th, but um, just, if we're talking 3 year stretches.
Yeah, at this point, I think anyone could make the case about anything. I had Kenny
Yeah.
Smith, Muggsy Bogues, John Lucas, Devin Harris, Jeff Teague, Eric Bledsoe, D'Angelo Russell. At that point, I'm just not really interested in what's going on. I think Phil Ford making a second team All NBA, I think, is the last All NBA player we're going to talk about ever on this point guards list, unless it's like 1948 something, right? We still have Calvary to talk about, so he's the last like modern era All NBA player that is going to make our point guards list.
You said Kenny Smith in there, and I think I actually sorted Kenny into my shooting guards list.
Yeah, Kenny
Yes, I
Smith's career
did.
is worse than I remember.
I
The
actually
injuries
really like.
get. You're interested.
Yeah, it's well. So he's got his rookie year or his sophomore year with Sacramento that 17 points, 7.5 assists per game. But then there's the 91 year where Hakeem gets hurt and him and Otis Thorpe take over and run a pretty good team. And then you've got him really developing as a 3-point shooter and like that being a huge part of why the Rockets win championships. I mean, I think there
I'd
is.
like it to be a bigger part. He averages 6 points a
Yeah.
game in the finals, right? And I think had he landed, because he has the insane 8 3-pointer game in the '95 finals, but then he still leaves that series averaging 8 points on 38% shooting. He has just a couple pretty good playoff series, and also it is quite brief. And I again, I don't feel like it's more impressive than Brown's 3 straight assist titles or Ford's All NBA as a rookie.
All right, then let's do it. Let's put Phil Ford in at 99. Sorry.
Yeah, Ford at 99, Brown at 100.
Who do we have at 98?
Mo Williams.
Mo Williams. Okay.
Yeah. Nate, we did it.
Can
You
we,
said it couldn't be done. We stumbled our way through this one. 100 point guards. I had never when I was like we should make a top 500. I think you thought I was joking, but I never was. I was serious the whole time, and I was confident. I was like, yeah, we're gonna get that done eventually. Let me take a little bit. Like,
can we make a revision? Can we bump Mo Williams back to 100 and put the other two guys over him?
sure, sure. All right, I'll read this. All right, 100 point guards for the masses. 75, Steve Francis. Then Sleepy Floyd, Archie Clark, Nick Van Exel, Ben Simmons. 80s, Mark Jackson, Larry Costello, Guy Rogers, Derek Harper, Goran Dragic, Brian Taylor, Bill Macchione, Al Cervi, Buddy Jeanette, Don Boos. 90s, Johnny Moore. Then Doc Rivers, Kenny Anderson, Kevin Porter, Fred Scolari, DeJounte Murray, Jameer Nelson, Avery Johnson, Phil Ford, Larry Brown, and Bo Williams. Nate, I'm so proud of us. I'm so proud of us.
I don't know what hell we've unleashed upon the world, but we've done it. We have ranked a top 100 point guards. We have combed through statistics. We have read through lots of books. We're done with point guards. On to shooting guards.
We're done with point guards, yeah. On to shooting, and it's a fun group for sure. I think we're the only people ever on Earth to do this series, at least to publish it, I guess. Because I mean, if you look up like top 100 point guards, like people will have like websites will have made that, and they're the worst list you've ever fucking seen. They're like I don't know if I call them AI generated, but it's like, what is happening here? It's just they're not good. Our lists are good. Everyone else's lists are bad.
I remember sending you a top 50 power forwards of all time. And like Moses Malone was in there. And I was like, what do you mean Moses is in here?
It was like Rodman was like fake or something. It's like this defensive minded forward. It's like I do think we're too low on Rodman, and I'll make that case. I think we were appropriately ranking him, and like then we I just think we slid him down too far. We have him like in the 180s. I think he should be closer to 160, 150. And I hope you're ready for a big Rudy Gobert fucking turnaround.
Oh,
you know, none of his Utah days were his fault. He actually is the best defensive player in the league. He was. We were way too low on him.
We'll see. Right. But Aaron, where can the people find you?
Possible Chairs on TikTok, Possible Chairs on Twitter, my Patreon, which basically as soon as this call ends, I'll be editing and uploading this list in visual format on that Patreon. So those can go check that out.
You can find me, Nate_HoopsTemple on TikTok. You can email us, hoopstemple@gmail.com, or join the Discord. If you've listened this far, why are you not already in the Discord already? Come on, get in there. Link in bio.